Welcome back to the program. Well, it's obviously grape pruning time, or season, or whatever way you like to put it. And I went and found out from Rob Lindsay that there's some people using a different method this year.
Well, Rob, we've moved from cane pruning grapevines, which is the process where you cut 90% of the previous season's growth off the grapevine and replace it with two fresh 1-year-old canes, to a process called spur pruning. And that is where you leave, instead of removing 90% of the old wood, you probably remove 80% of it, but you leave a 1-year-old spur in the place of a cane which you would have previously removed. So an example I've pruned for you right here. And it's the advantages are that it takes less time to do, and in the case of some grape varieties, they have what they call a prostrate habit, not prostate, prostrate.
Prostrate, yes.
Which means that the canes have a tendency to lie down. So instead of growing straight up, they lay down, and they cause problems in that way. That makes it difficult to tuck them up in the fruiting wire, in the foliage wires.
So this obviously encourages vertical growth.
Yep, so by having an upright spur, you see that the two nodes on each spur are pointing upwards, whereas if you had tied a cane down, those same nodes would be pointing one up and maybe one down. So the one pointing downwards, the shoot would then have to do a U-turn before it heads straight up.
One would imagine then that these are going to be stronger?
I hope so. One of the other theories behind spur pruning is that the grapevine has more permanent structure on the fruiting wire. So the structure on the fruiting wire is called a cordon. That then gives you theoretically more even bud break, and we're hoping will give us some improved frost resistance. Maybe not frost resistance, but frost recovery.
Tolerance or?
Recovery. You've got more buds on the fruiting wire, so if you lose some due to frost, then you've theoretically got some more left, and that has been played out in my experience in a few other vineyards.
So those main laterals will stay there forever now and just get bigger and bigger and bigger?
Probably we'll cycle them every 3 or 4 years, so we'll replace them after the 4th year, and we'll lay down a fresh cane and then repeat the process.
I'm really impressed with your shears, your cutters.
I have a new toy. It's nothing new. These have been around in the industry for a long time, but technology has advanced to a point where you get a lot of power both in the battery pack and a lot of cutting power in the cutter heads. These are called electric pruners or electric secateurs, and they do the job that previously I used a pair of loppers for. It means that I can get through a lot more cuts in the day, or actually Bev normally uses these, so it means she gets through more cuts in the day and attempts cuts that she otherwise wouldn't feel comfortable or wouldn't be strong enough to do.
So it basically takes away the need for a pair of loppers and a pair of secateurs.
Still need your secateurs, I think, to tidy up some really fine fiddly stuff, but it certainly takes the pressure off your shoulders, which at the end of the day cutting, you're starting to feel a bit sore.
Come back to the spur pruning. Is it easy to teach people to do that right?
I think it is. I've taught people cane pruning for 10 years, and there's a few processes you go through to reach your end result, but spur pruning, you still need a bit of knowledge, but it is easier to do.
And of course, obviously, the next trick in the vineyard is to drop all those wires back down again.
Yeah, we'll drop some of them down and then get on with the rest of our winter chores.
How long does it take, Rob, to actually do a vineyard? I mean, has anyone worked out how much a person can do in a day?
Yeah, in my previous life as a vineyard contractor, that was part of what I did. I'd work out what I could do in a day. I then factor in what I called a fatigue factor, which does happen. It's life. You can prune a sample bay of grapevines, and that it doesn't work out what you can do in a day because you've got things like just muscle tiredness. You stop for breaks, you have lunch, you have afternoon tea, and you walk in and out of the vineyard. So I don't think you're ever 100% efficient. And I used to work to about between 80 and 90% efficiency.
Day today it's lovely and fine. What about a wet day?
In grapes, we try not to prune on wet days because you open the vine up to trunk-borne or trunk diseases, which the spores are spread in wet weather, and basically it's like me cutting your arm off, and then you'd have the potential for gangrene to set in. So it's the vine equivalent of gangrene.
Now you said previous life because you've changed your life a wee bit. You're now in the family business. How's Tresillian going?
Tresillian is going very well. We've gone from strength to strength. The vines are now nearly 10 years old, and we're starting to get some, when we don't get frosted, we get some pretty good crops off our home block here. But thank goodness we lease a couple of blocks over on Banks Peninsula, and they have provided us with some fantastic fruit, and we're starting to see some beautiful wines coming off those blocks.
What's your main focus, variety-wise?
Pinot Noir would be our strength, but by default we've ended up with quite a few different styles of Riesling, which is exciting and challenging at the same time. Riesling as a variety in New Zealand represents excellent value for consumers. You can get some top 10 Rieslings for under $25, which from a consumer perspective is outstanding value.
As a consumer, I'm going to say, I find it very hard to pick a Riesling because it's a variety with a great width between the sweeter and the drier ones. Are you letting me as a consumer know which are the drier ones and which are the sweet ones?
We do on our label through specifically labelling the wines medium dry or dry to indicate the balance between sugar and acid in the wine, both of which occur naturally in the wine. So we hope to help you as a consumer with that. There is another scheme underway whereby they represent the sweetness on a relative scale, and they do it visually on bottle labels, and we're investigating that, and we may look to implement that soon.
Pinot Gris, I see there's some Pinot Gris in the shed as well.
You've caught me out. Yes, we have Pinot Noir vines as well as Pinot Gris planted, both here and at French Farm, and the different clones we have are producing some pretty good results in terms of different flavours and different palate weights. So
it's becoming a more favourite wine too, isn't it? It's getting more popular.
I think so. In terms of nationwide vineyard, it still only represents a small portion of the vineyard. But as people inevitably try different things, it's just another alternative to Sauvignon Blanc, Chardonnay, and quite an exciting one too. There's a range of different flavours and styles that you can try growing in different areas.
And finally, an unsung hero is rosé.
Oh look, our rosé is to die for. I'm quite passionate about it. It's a blend of both Pinot Noir and Merlot, and I think I'm not quite sure about this, but I think we're probably the southernmost Merlot growers in New Zealand. Merlot you don't normally see growing south of Marlborough at its southernmost point, but we have it growing on a north-facing hillside in French Farm Valley, and it's producing some beautiful cranberry and raspberry flavours, and we make a dry wine, and it's got a kind of subtle minerality about it too, which I think is quite special.
Indeed, I can tell you that their Chardonnay's got a wonderful, like almost a Viognier taste in the back of the mouth. Brilliant. On bananas, and one of the reasons, gosh, we do get it all involved over